Hello and welcome to Standard Voice Television Global News today, 1st April 2026. Equivalent to Islamic calendar, 13th day of Shawwal 1447 after the hijrah of the noble prophet, peace be upon him. I am Hamida Muhammad Idris. In the headlines, Senate approves President Tinubu's fresh $6 billion foreign loan. Nigeria's electoral empire advocates offer laws to safeguard democracy. Military High Command places troops on nationwide alert during Easter celebration. On the international scene, US and Iran commit to Middle East ceasefire. On a sport update, FIFA CAF Lord Congo leads qualification for 2026 FIFA World Cup. Details on these and more will come to you in the bulletin. Stay tuned. Senate has again approved President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's $6 billion foreign loan request during plenary. President Tinubu had in two separate letters of request to the Senate and read in plenary by its president, Godswill Akpabio, disclosed plans to obtain $5 billion from Post Abu Dhabi Bank and an additional $1 billion from UK Export Finance. The president explained that the $5 billion facility is aimed at bridging financing gaps in the 2026 budget, while the $1 billion loan will be deployed for the rehabilitation of Lagos Port, considered a vital component of Nigeria's trade and logistics infrastructure. The Senate President, after reading the letter, applauded Tinubu for securing the financing arrangement during a recent trip to the United Kingdom, describing it as a positive outcome of Nigeria's international engagement. The federal government also said the project will boost Nigeria's competitiveness as a maritime hub and support the diversification of the economy through increased non-oil exports. The National Assembly has passed 68.32 trillion naira 2026 appropriation bill as budget to provide services, including the execution of capital projects and the payment of salaries. This is coming as the Senate passed a National Joint Assembly report on Tuesday in Abuja. The new figure was increased by over 9.019 trillion naira from the initial 58.7 trillion naira. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu led before the legislature on December 19, 2025. It was gathered that the additional 9.091 trillion naira was requested by the president to adjust the budget to accommodate legacy commitments in transportation and health sectors carried over from previous years and other provisions, including spending on the judiciary. The highlights of the revised figure as passed on Tuesday were 4.799 trillion naira for statutory transfers, 15.809 trillion naira for debt service, 15.427 trillion naira for recurrent non-debt service, and 32.287 trillion naira for capital projects. Meanwhile, the Senate, in passing the 2026 budget, extended the implementation of the capital component of the 2025 budget from March 31st to June 30, 2026. On 2027 general elections, the African Democratic Congress ADC has alleged that the ruling All Progressives Congress APC is targeting opposition party despite its dominant political position. ADC National Publicity Secretary Balaji Abdullahi made the claim while featuring on one of the national television programs, stressed that his party remained composed and focused, insisting that the ruling party appears unsettled. He also alleged that the APC frequently references the ADC in its political discourse while simultaneously attempting to undermine the party. The ADC script dismisses worries about the party's viability, maintaining that there is no legal or political risk in contesting elections under the ADC platform. In another development, Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has canvassed for a stronger and more adaptive legal framework to address emerging governance challenges in Nigeria's fast-evolving digital landscape. INEC Chairman George Amopitan made the call while chairing the 47th Founders Day lecture at the Nigerian Institute of Advanced Legal Studies in Lagos. He emphasized that technological advancement has significantly altered governance structures globally, stressing the need for Nigeria's legal and institutional frameworks to keep peace in order to safeguard democratic processes. Amopitan, however, warned that the digital space also presents serious risks. A senior advocate of Nigeria, therefore, Miyagi, while delivering the keynote lecture, stressed the importance of civic participation while cautioning that technology could undermine democracy if not properly regulated. In his remark, the Dean of the Faculty of Law, University of Lagos, Professor Abiola Sani, highlighted ongoing developments with the faculty, including improved infrastructure, digital libraries, and modern lecture facilities, expressing optimism that they would enhance academic excellence and professional training. Nigeria has warned that Africa is losing over $88 billion illicit financial flows annually, reducing funds needed for development across the continent. Nigeria's Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, made the disclosure while delivering a keynote address at the 5th session of the Subcommittee on Tax and Illicit Financial Flows under the Specialized Technical Committee on Finance, Monetary Affairs, Economic Planning, and Integration in Abuja. He emphasized that the scale of illegal financial outflows remains one of the biggest threats to Africa's economic progress, noting that such funds could have been used to improve infrastructure, education, healthcare, and other key sectors. Earlier, the executive chairman of the Nigeria Revenue Service, SAC DDG, pointed out that illicit financial flows remain a major challenge, draining resources needed for development. He also warned that such losses translate into fewer schools, hospitals, and infrastructure projects across the continent. Presidency says Nigeria is currently sheltering over 840,000 foreign nationals who have overstayed their visas. Minister of Interior Olubimi Tunji-Ojo, who disclosed this during an interview, said the figure was obtained through the country's upgraded immigration system, noting that irregular migration is not limited to Nigerians abroad, but also affects Nigeria. Tunji-Ojo's disclosure is coming amid public worries over a migration agreement between Nigeria and the United Kingdom, adding that on March 19th, Nigeria and the United Kingdom signed 3 memoranda of understanding (MOU) on migration partnership. The minister explained that the MOU seeks to establish a framework for regulated and safe migration between both countries and strengthen collaboration against irregular migration, human trafficking, and smuggling. The news is coming to you on Standard Voice Television. Still to come, the news. Military High Command places troops on nationwide alert during Easter celebration. On the international scene, U.S. and Iran commit to Middle East ceasefire. On a sport update, FIFA CAF allowed Congolese qualification for 2026 FIFA World Cup. These and more news will be coming to you after this short break. Welcome back from that short break, and now the news continues. Nigeria's troops have been placed on nationwide alert ahead of the Easter celebrations. Director Defense Media Operations Major General Michael Onoja, who made this known while addressing newsmen during the end of the month briefing in Abuja, assured citizens of heightened vigilance by troops during the Easter celebrations. He also reaffirmed that ongoing support from the United States is strengthening counter-terrorism operations with a visible impact expected in the upcoming weeks. Onoja also explained that the armed forces had already placed personnel on alerts nationwide to prevent any security breach during the holiday period. The defense spokesperson added that similar measures were implemented during previous festive season, including Christmas and Eid al-Fitr, and will be sustained and stressed that security agencies would not relax despite the celebrations, noting that advisories often attempted to exploit such period. Onoja, while commenting on the ongoing collaboration with the U.S. forces, said the impact of the collaboration may not be immediately visible due to the nature of military engagement, but expressed confidence that the benefits will become evident in the coming weeks and months. The government has reiterated its commitment to end terror and restore peace in the Northeast. The Minister of Defense, Christopher Musa, alongside the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawalle, gave the assurance as they paid tribute to soldiers killed in action during counter-insurgency operations in Borno State. They arrived at the Mailamari Cantonment Cemetery in Maiduguri with senior military officers, including the theater commander of Operation Hadenkei, Major General APPROPRIATION Abdul Salam, where rites were led in honor of the fallen personnel. Earlier, the two ministers visited Governor Babagana Zulum and sympathized with the state over a recent bomb blast that claimed 23 lives and injured about 208 others. Musa assured that the federal government will sustain efforts to end terrorism in the region and also commiserated with victims of the attack and offered prayers for the deceased. Zulum, who was represented by his deputy Umar Kadafur, who lauded the armed forces for their role in stabilizing the state, he however called for improved synergy between ground and air components of Operation Hadenkei to enhance operational effectiveness. National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) has attributed proceeds from illicit drug trafficking to a major source of financing for terrorist networks and violent extremist groups, posing a growing threat to national and global security. Chairman of the agency, Muhammad Buba Marwa, made this assertion at a bilateral strategic counter-narcotics workshop held in Abuja. In collaboration with the United States Drug Enforcement Administration, he noted that the global drug problem was evolving in complexity with an alarming nexus between drug trafficking and terrorism, noting that funds generated from the narcotics trade were increasingly being used to finance violent activities. The NDLEA boss explained that money made from the drug sales was often channeled into the purchase of weapons used to destabilize regions, stressing that disrupting drug networks would weaken terrorist operations. On her part, the United States Drug Enforcement Agency Administration Country Attaché in Nigeria, Daphne Morrison, reaffirmed her readiness, strengthening cooperation with Nigeria to dismantle drug trafficking networks and disrupt financial flows linked to organized crime. National Emergency Management Agency (NEMA) has confirmed that over 241 people died and 459,995 others were affected in 27 states across 128 local government areas of the country during last year's flooding. NEMA Director General Zubaida Umar at a technical meeting on the 2026 SCP with the Emergency Coordination Forum and the presentation of After Action Review AAR in Abuja highlighted the importance of timely, coordinated and evidence-based action in addressing climate-related risks. She, however, noted that there was a decline in the impact of the flooding in 2025 compared to the previous year. Zubaida Umar called on stakeholders to intensify efforts to further mitigate the likely impact of the predicted flood, even as the country prepares for rainfall in the year. The Director General said the 2026 seasonal climate prediction released by NIMET provides Nigerians with a forward-looking perspective on expected rainfall patterns, temperature variations, and other climate indicators. Moving to the foreign scene, U.S. President Donald Trump, during an executive order signing event in the Oval Office of the White House in Washington, D.C., has assured of ceasefire with Iran soon. Trump confirmed that the U.S. will leave Iran in 2 to 3 weeks when they are certain the regime cannot build a nuclear weapon for years. His statement is coming while Iran is asking for a deal, noting that whether it happens is irrelevant to America's timetable. President Donald Trump's latest comments delivered on the Oval Office come ahead of a national address on Iran. Meanwhile, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian has said his country has the necessary will to end the war with the United States and Israel as long as certain conditions are met. The head of Iranian Parliament National Security Committee, Ibrahim Aziz, however, says in an exposed address in Trump, the Strait of Hormuz will certainly reopen, but not for him. Finally, to the sporting scene, FIFA and the Confederation of African Football CAF have both commended the Democratic Republic of Congo for qualifying for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The Congolese defeated Jamaica 1-0 in their intercontinental playoff final today as they became the 10th team from Africa to qualify. They are now set to make only their second appearance at the World Cup after they went there as Zaire in 1974. Democratic Republic of Congo beats Nigeria 4-3 in a penalty shootout to reach the intercontinental playoff final. Finally, on the news, the top stories again. Senate approves President Tinubu's fresh $6 billion foreign loan. Nigeria's electoral empire advocates offer laws to safeguard democracy. Military High Command places troops on nationwide alert during Easter celebration. On the international scene, US and Iran commit to Middle East ceasefire. On a sport update, FIFA CAF Lord Congolese qualification for 2026 FIFA World Cup. On behalf of the news editor and the production crew led by Ilya Adamu Auta, I am Hamida Muhammad Idris. Thanking you for investing your time and staying with the news.